This is John Jackson Miller, author of Star Wars novels and the Star Trek trilogy Prey, and you're listening to the Great Big Beautiful Podcast.
Have you ever been to Disneyland?
Affirmative.
That was definitely an e-ticket.
I can't believe all the new gadgets they've got now. For a while, we didn't even have a house phone, not to mention laser discs, high-def TV.
You are listening to the Great Big Beautiful Podcast. This week on the show,
it's funny that Aaron Sorkin, Joss, and the various S.h.i.e.L.D. writers both chose to cast me as an agent of some kind with a dry wit and a diligent devotion to duty.
So the possibilities of this shared universe now are just opening up, and I think that they're amazing.
Oh, no, please. I mean, there are people who are convinced that the schlubby ex-husband from The New Adventures of Old Christine is just deep cover. There's really nothing I do that people don't really want to make part of their canon.
Here are your hosts, Jamie Green and Justin Connors.
Sometimes it just gets cut off early, right? That's the beautiful thing about a podcast. Sometimes you're just talking and then the PR.
That's right.
And a lot of the listeners don't know about that. And you're talking and their PR guy comes in and he's like, all right, guys.
8 minutes left. No, yeah.
And that's
usually we do get cut off sometimes if the PR person's on the line. They got to keep to the schedule.
And that's okay. And what we're obviously talking about is our interview today with Gregg. And I posted that we were going to interview him, and Jeff Bogle, one of the groups, goes, "That's somebody I actually know."
Oh, nice.
But Jeff Bogle is a very eclectic individual, so I don't fault him for not knowing a lot of the writers and whatnot that we have, because he's a knowledgeable guy in other areas.
Yeah,
I guess.
Good.
You're
just saying that now because he might be listening, right?
Yeah, he probably was just saying it because he's like, I actually know how. He's probably just joking. Like,
yeah,
who knows?
Giving you a hard time.
I love Jeff Bogle. Whatever.
Let's bring this back on track.
Let's bring this back to Gregg and Marvel and S.h.i.e.L.D. And for a second, did you see? You obviously saw the commercial Gregg was in, and we don't like to get political, but the commercial that he was on Facebook that went viral.
I love that you call it a commercial.
I know.
Yes,
that's what I call it. A PSA. I don't know. What do you call it?
Yeah, the get out the vote thing that Joss Whedon put together. It was like, it was like all the Avengers basically saying you need to vote.
Yeah, and
it was good.
My favorite part about it is the look on Mark Ruffalo's face when he's like, "What? I'm gonna be naked? What?"
Yeah, it'll be. It was really cool to see when it came out, and I want to say politics aside, but you can't put politics aside because it was very clearly not just you need to get out and vote. It was very clearly you need to get out and vote for the side that we all believe in.
Exactly. But not for the orange-haired guy. Yeah,
I mean, it happens to be the side that I hope most right-thinking, rational Americans also believe in. But we don't get political. But we ended up asking him. Sort of, we brought it back to that video, kind of, and we talked about that. And I think he had, it was only one question right at the very end, and I think what he said was pretty good. I mean, it was really on point. It was poignant.
Right. And I have something interesting I want to comment about that, but we're gonna say I'll save it till after because I don't want to spoil what he said.
But nobody listens to us.
Okay,
after.
Well, do you want me to comment on it? I'll be glad to.
No, maybe somebody will listen. Maybe some people out there.
This will clickbait them to come next.
Now they're gonna listen to the entire interview with Gregg going, what? I wonder what Justin's gonna say.
They're not even gonna listen to the interview. They're gonna just skip back and what is he gonna say?
That would be a shame. People. If you skip ahead to find out what Justin's gonna say, please come back and at least listen to the interview because it's really good.
And funny enough, Clark is his character Coulson in Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. and in notably the movies as well. the different Avengers and Thor, whatever he was in, all the Marvel ones.
He was in Iron Man. I know this because I just did the post. Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Thor, and the Avengers.
It was really amazing to me how a character who seemed like, and he even alludes to this in his conversation, he seemed like he was just kind of an agent in the background. He had a few lines, funny zingers. How he just became so loved by the audience, and you look forward to seeing him in the coming movies. And even Sarah to this day wants him back in the main feature movies. She loves this character so much.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with his portrayal. He was just, in Iron Man, he was just like the Secret Service black tie, sunglasses kind of guy. But he had a lot, like you're saying, he had those zingers and he had a lot of tongue-in-cheek, funny lines, and he just stood out as an immediate fan favorite. And so he just kept coming back. You know, so like the first few movies, there weren't a lot of crossovers because they didn't have this whole universe yet. They were still building it. Yeah. And so like Iron Man and then Thor and by the Avengers, obviously they had built everything up, but he was from Iron Man to Iron Man 2 to Thor, like he was that one thread that was carried throughout. And like he was the one character that was holding all of that together. I mean, Sam Jackson kind of came in and did it too, but unless I'm misremembering this, at least when Sam Jackson, his first appearance was in one of those post-credits scenes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think it was the original Iron Man. Yeah, when he shows up and says, "We need to talk about the Avengers initiative." So
and
he wasn't even.
And that's when the world flipped out. Like, there's gonna be an Avengers movie.
Yeah, Avengers. So yeah, I guess we have that character. We have Agent Coulson to thank for a cohesive cinematic universe because he's the one who started it. And, his character.
And my kids, and I'm sure your kids, watch Netflix shows, and he's actually in the new Spider-Man show that's on Netflix. Yep. As Coulson comes to the high school and becomes the principal of the high school because Peter Parker's involved in like a S.h.i.e.l.d. I don't know if I forget what show it is. I can't remember. It's one of the Spider-Man ones.
Yeah, and they do that a lot. Disney is generally pretty good about that. I mean, they don't obviously, maybe not so obviously, like the big name, the A-list actors like Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, like they don't reprise their roles, but they do carry a lot of the same voices over. So if an actor is portraying whatever character in an animated show, if that same character shows up in a different series, they're going to try to get the same actor.
Well, and it's definitely him.
Video game.
I mean, if it's not him, it's a guy like one of the voice guys we interviewed that can impersonate him.
Sure, but they do try to get the same actors, and even with video games, if it's the same character, they're going to try to keep that continuity.
And his voice is very recognizable when he answered the phone. I was like, Coulson. Hi, this is Jamie Green. I can't even do his voice, but you know what I mean? Like the breathy, his voice is awesome. I'm a fanboy.
Obviously, we're fanboying out. Should we just let people listen to the interview?
Yes, we probably should. 7 minutes later, people are like, "What's up? I came here for Coulson."
Not for you guys.
So we are so excited. This is another great interview. We're so excited to bring it to you. Here you go. Enjoy. Let us know what you think.
I wanted to start off by saying when the character of Agent Coulson was first introduced, in the films and in the first season of Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D., he was kind of like an audience surrogate. He didn't have superpowers. He had this, he was fanboying for Captain America. And so when he became the director of S.h.i.e.L.D., it was sort of like we were becoming the director and we were getting all of this newfound responsibility. And it was pretty exciting to see like this quote unquote everyman character step up. But through the first 3 seasons, as he stepped up and got more responsibility and now has a robotic, awesome hand, that's been that kind of distance that the character distanced himself from the audience a little bit. And I'm just wondering now that he's an agent again, whether that's something that you're going to sort of keep in mind and try to reconnect with the audience.
I mean, I guess I don't really agree with the premise of your question.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because I do think that he was given a job. He was given a directorship, but at a time when there was no S.h.i.e.L.D., it was like a couple of deserted bases and very few resources, and his team, and it really just that's really always been his strength since the show started, is his team.
Yeah.
And I guess I think the everyman thing is really the spirit of him, which is he doesn't, very few of the enhanced individuals that he ever goes up against are really that bothered by his robotic hand. That's just something that he gives him a tiny shot at defending himself against some of these people. I guess that said,
yeah,
I don't think he would have chosen to be the director of S.h.i.e.L.D. He was given that job because there was kind of no one else to do it, and S.h.i.e.L.D. didn't exist. And he did it to the best of his ability, and I think really leaned on the things that were very everyman about him, which is just trusting the right people, giving the right people a chance to kind of step up. And I think he's, he may not like turning the S.h.i.e.L.D. over to somebody who's been chosen by or seems to be run by the people behind the Sokovia Accords, but he's a little bit relieved, I think, to be back in the role that's most comfortable for him, which is an agent of S.h.i.e.L.D.
Yeah, I was going to ask. It sounds like you think that he's more comfortable just being in the field, not in that position of ultimate authority.
There's a saying that I can't remember right now that is like, I will serve where I'm summoned and do what's asked of me.
Yeah.
And when Nick Fury shows up with the mystery cube and his giant destroyer gun and says, "This is what I want you to do,"
that's what you do.
That's what you do.
You don't say no to that.
Yeah.
Making an ensemble cast work is incredibly difficult, I know, but Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. has characters and actors coming and going all the time, or it seems like with relative frequency. Have you found that there's a good balance of characters or a good balance of core members on the team?
At this moment, you mean?
Well, I mean, just, from the beginning to now, because people have come, people have gone, it's been bigger, it's been smaller. I'm just wondering, either in terms of, as Agent Coulson and the team of agents, or as Clark with a group of colleagues who are also actors, whether you think that there's an ideal size or, or not.
No, I think it's dictated by story.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are so many people that, so that it's hard to keep all the stories and the various kind of subplots in those stories to keep track of them. And, when you have too many stories, almost none of them get to land as hard.
Right.
And, and at the same time, I think when the show was at its biggest number when we had, Ward floating around and all of Hydra and Mockingbird and Hunter and all, there was a lot of exciting, different, diverse ideas behind it. And I don't know, we were thinking the other day about all the various, because we were, as the actors, we talk about all the various people who've come through, whether it's Powers Booth or Bill Paxton or the incredible Ruth Negga, who was Raina. We've just, and Luke Mitchell and Brett Dalton. It just, everybody comes in and they take part in this ensemble. And it's really painful to lose them, whether sometimes they're villains, but we just love the person and the actor so much, it's really hard to lose them. And, it's one of those things where it's out of our control.
Yeah.
In a way where our life is very much like S.h.i.e.L.D. We can't control the losses or, or the size of the cast, and you just try to really fulfill whatever the story it wants it from you at a given moment. And that said, I don't know, I turn around this year and there's a lot of people I really miss, but the way they're telling the story so far in this first couple of episodes and the team of people who are there, it's one of the best lineups we've ever had.
Wow. That's great to hear. Because like you were saying, you as an actor you say it's painful to see some of these people go. As an audience, it's even more painful sometimes to see some of these characters go. Even if they're villains, they're just such great villains too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people who were really upset, none more than us, about losing Ward. And then, Jed and Mo made a point to me. He goes, this guy has been the bad guy since the end of the first season.
Exactly.
Has been one of, you know what I mean? He's been Hydra. He's been a lone wolf creating his own Hydra. And then he's been Hive. There's it's time for a new villain and a new story. And then, that's the thing. The writers, their job is to tell the story. And I mean, nobody's safe. I don't even think Agent Coulson's safe.
Wow.
So without spoiling anything, what are you most excited about for this season?
I'll tell you what I was most nervous about was Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
In that we don't really get to see it until, Mark Kolpak and his team, Chris Cheremy, those guys are working so hard to make that work, something that would be 8 or 10 months on a feature. They had 3 or 4 months to do, and probably a lot less money. And you've got an effect that just is really elusive and, really didn't all the way come together in the 2 features that were done with Johnny Blaze. So we're all very nervous getting ready to watch the first episode, and to see it kind of get pulled off in a way that so many people have been really enthusiastic about, I think is a huge vote of confidence for the show, for Mark Kolpak, and really for Gabriel Luna for making that character feel real and grounded.
Yeah, absolutely. The Inhumans play such a huge role in S.h.i.e.L.D. now. And I'm just curious if assuming the Inhumans movie would ever get off the ground and they put you in charge of the story, what would you like to see done with it?
Oh boy. With the Inhumans, I don't know. It's such a good. I mean, the Inhumans. I got to imagine that the Inhumans movie would be kind of Black Bolt and Medusa.
Yeah.
And that original core group, and I don't know, I'd have to do a lot of thinking. There's really tricky decisions they have to make about how to turn those core traditional comic books. It's a bulldog with a triangle on his head and who transports himself. I feel that in a lot of ways that the version of the Inhumans that's been created by Jed and Mo and Jeff Bell on our show works a lot better for the kind of the cinematic world of our, I should say, the television world of our show, because it gives us the same dilemma that the Sokovia Accords represent without all the superheroes that we, that isn't really our story.
Yeah. I'm curious if you've been reading the Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. comic.
I read a bunch of them. I'm behind right now. I need to catch up.
Do you think that the writers and artists are capturing your characters pretty faithfully?
Oh, it's I love it so much because, there's Coulson and Deadpool and Lola with a rocket launcher. There's just all the people I don't get to cross over because of, evil corporate barriers I get to play with. I think Fitz and May went on a date in one of them. There's all kinds of. It's kind of like the bizarro world of S.h.i.E.L.D.
Yeah, it's the beauty of comics is that anything is possible.
Yeah.
So something I found interesting is recently you tweeted, you replied to a fan that you didn't think Coulson would ever even get a first name when you first signed on to the character. So was there a point where you realized that this character was going to last and he was going to be around?
No, I mean, no. I every time I thought they're gonna give him a couple scenes in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
I guess it was like, and then that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. And then and then he was in Thor, and I just thought, wow, that's cool. But I thought, once they get the Avengers together, that's a lot of really famous superheroes vying for screen time. I strongly doubt that Agent Coulson's going to show up there. No, I'd have to be so insane, more insane than I even am, to ever have imagined, yeah, he's going to die, and then he's going to be brought back to life using inhuman technology and alien robotics, and then he's going to get his own show. And an unbelievable cavalcade of actors and cool Marvel characters will show up, from the absorbing man, to the interesting characters that you might see coming this season. Ghost Rider just being the first.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, we're all the richer for it, for having, the unexpected long life that Coulson has had. We're all the richer for it. The storytelling has been just phenomenal. We got a few questions from listeners. We're just going to pop them in here interspersed. We want to know, is your character from The West Wing, was that actually Phil Coulson before he joined S.h.i.e.L.D.? Or was he just undercover?
Let's say yes.
Let's say yes. Okay.
Maybe that Agent Mike Casper, let's say Agent Mike Casper was an FBI agent who was approached at a certain point, maybe long before he went to the White House, by Nick Fury.
Okay. So I'm wondering, though, if there was always a S.h.i.e.L.D. interest in the Bartlett White House.
We have to assume yes.
Yeah, of course.
It's funny that Aaron Sorkin and Hawk and Osprey and Joss and the various S.h.i.e.L.D. writers both chose to cast me as an agent of some kind with a dry wit and a diligent devotion to duty.
So the possibilities of this shared universe now are just opening up, and I think that they're amazing.
Please. I mean, there are people who are convinced that the schlubby ex-husband from The New Adventures of Old Christine is just deep cover. There's really nothing I do that people don't really want to make part of their canon.
That is deep cover, though.
Yeah. The deepest.
The deepest. A question we have that I need to know the answer to is, did you get to keep that outfit from Lip Sync Battle?
That's a really incriminating question to ask.
Are you pleading the fifth?
Because it also it assumes that I didn't bring it from home.
Oh my goodness.
No, I have a feeling you'll be seeing that overdyed and turned into some very different drag outfit for some other poor sucker this year.
Oh, that's amazing. Are you trying to get behind the camera again? Do more directing?
Yeah, it's certainly something I love to do. It's just the Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. schedule, the 22 episodes of it all, really punches my window pretty tight. There's something that I wrote for a director, and then came into my own hands recently, and I'm trying to put that together to possibly make next summer.
Nice. Switching gears then to finish up, you just had a hand in Joss's Save the Day campaign video. I was just curious, if you could say one thing to every U.S. voter before November, what would it be?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. If you don't vote in this election, I'm not really sure you understand what the point of being an American is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear a lot of doom and gloom that if you don't vote in this election, you might not get a chance to vote in another election.
That's funny, yeah.
But yeah, it's never been more important. And that video it hit all the right notes, and it was just phenomenal. So bravo and kudos to you guys for putting it together.
You'd be surprised how many people it made very angry.
Oh, I'm sure. But, the people that it needs to reach, I hope that it will ultimately reach them.
Yeah, me too.
Clark, thank you so much for your time. This has just been an amazing conversation.
Guys, thank you.
Well, that's it for this week on the Great Big Beautiful Podcast. Fantastic interview. Fun. Got cut a little short, but that's okay. I'm happy to have fun.
We complain that it got cut a little bit short, but we got what they promised us, so I can't really complain.
No,
I wish we could have had a lot more time with him, but what I've learned is that we get what we get. I'm not going to complain.
No,
if we
I
get
hear you
10 minutes
totally.
with somebody, we're going to make the best 10 minutes we possibly can. We got 15 with Clark Gregg, and I'm sure he's got. The season 4 just started, so he's got an incredibly busy schedule. I'm just happy we got what we got.
My favorite though is what one time, and I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a person in a famous universe that we got offered, and it was, what would they say, 5 minutes?
I had gotten tentative time to talk to Billy D. Williams at a Comic-Con. And these guys, when they show up at the cons, they generally do signing and they maybe do a panel or whatever. But they're there to make the money that they make from cons is signing and taking pictures. So they're not going to spend time, doing interviews if they don't need to. So I was told that I had time to talk to Billy D. Williams. And I was like, awesome. All right. Well, and as I do, not to be pushy, I like to ask, how much time do you think we'll have, just so I can prepare, so we can have an appropriate number of questions. We don't want to over prepare or under prepare. And he said, oh, you probably have about 5 minutes. Well, what the heck can I talk to him about 5 minutes?
Even if you were writing an article for Geek Dad on it and not the podcast, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Man, that's
5 minutes for the podcast is almost, I hate to say it, but it's almost useless for us for the podcast, for audio. 5 minutes, you could make an article out of it, but I'd almost rather not, because then it's like you're taking time. You feel rushed the whole time, and if you get a really good answer and they're like really into answering it, that means you get one question because they're going to take 5 minutes to answer.
Even if you had the 5 minutes, though, I think you could have turned it into an amazing podcast. 5 minutes. It would have been cool.
5 minutes with Billy D. Williams.
That's what
I'll work on it. I'll try to do it again.
Next time, right? Maybe that could be a series. Next time you go, get 5 minutes with each person.
I could do that.
5 minutes with somebody, and that'll be like a series.
I could do that.
Ideas, ding. So those of you that stuck around, because I know, or fast forwarded to this point because you wanted to hear my thoughts.
Yes, I've been dying.
I've been dying. Whoa, there goes my mic. I found it very interesting that he said a lot of people were mad about that.
I wanted to ask him about that, but I did not think that it was appropriate or that we had time.
Right. And I don't want to play speculation, but I do. And I feel like it was probably people in the Marvel Disney universe maybe that didn't want their political opinions out. But I mean, that's just me speculating. I'm going to guess.
At first, I thought he might have just meant, randos on the internet who like to troll, which is true. I'm sure they pissed a lot of people off. Oh, I'm not watching any Marvel movies anymore. Boycott Marvel, But then exactly what you just said. Like they never came out and said, the Avengers are with Hillary. But look at the people who were on that spot. And it was a lot of people. Not everybody, but it was a lot of people from the Marvel movies. And you've got Joss Whedon, who directed 2 of them.
Right.
And the 2 big ones, and it's people are obviously going to draw their own conclusions, and I think that's probably what he meant. He probably meant a lot of brass at Disney and Marvel were not too happy with that.
I bet. Well, and I mean, they didn't really do anything wrong because they're not representing Disney in that role. Their faces are the characters, right?
Yeah,
so that's not their fault. They have this political opinion. I can see them getting. I know how the PR world works. I can see that being an issue.
Yeah. No, I get you.
But that was interesting that he said that, and he said it like he thought that was fun. He was like, he was just like, a lot of people were happy about that. Like, awesome, man. He rocked the boat.
Good for him. Good for him.
And yes, I'm Canadian. You heard that. I said rock the boat.
Rock the boot?
Yes.
Not rock the boot?
I don't know how people perceive how we say that, so I'm gonna you perceive how I say about any way you want. All right. Is there anything you wanted to add, Jamie? We've been talking.
No, I think we've blathered on long enough.
That's cool. Well, now that we've had Coulson, I think next you're gonna have to get.
Well, we've had May
Ruffalo.
and Coulson.
We're gonna have to get Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo. Oh. That's the next get.
All right, I'll work on Ruffalo. I thought you meant we had to work our way through the S.h.i.e.l.d. cast.
We're going up. We're going to the
movies, the
okay. So
all right. I'll get Ruffalo.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
We can talk to him about his Oscar movie last year.
So, yeah, I'll talk to his people. We'll get
him. We'll have him next week.
All right. Now I don't know about that. Give me some time.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming by. We are at. I didn't even say that before. We are at the GBB Podcast on Facebook, the GBB Podcast on Twitter, and I'm Justin at 140 Justin C.
I'm Jamie at the Roarbots.
And we will see you next week, or not even next week. Oh my God.
See you later this week.
We will see you on Friday. I need to go to bed. I need to go to bed.
Justin needs a nap. Take care,
All right,
everybody.
Have a good week.
This podcast has been a production of the Geek Dad Podcast Network. If you've enjoyed this content, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/geekdad.